understand these terms, what the exact meaning is, because in the future classes also, in your 8th standard, 9th standard and 10th standard, all the next 3 years, you'll be learning these, you'll be hearing these terms again and again, over and over. And unless and until you understand very perfectly and clearly what these terms actually mean, what they mean to our government, the way in which our government runs, it would be confusing for you in future classes also. So I will spend a little bit more time to see that the idea is very clear to you, the concept is very clear to you, what is the meaning of constituency, how constituencies are created. So you get a very clear picture and understand what we are learning. Okay, to the students who have joined just now, I would really appreciate it if you are able to join at 9 o'clock, because it's already 9:07, and the classes do start at 9 o'clock, and I'm spending almost 10 minutes just allowing people to get into the class. I don't know why people cannot join on time. Okay, so coming back to this part of constituencies, again, I'll do a quick recap of what we did yesterday. We were learning about the working of a state government, how a state government works. In your last year 6th standard, you learned about how a panchayat functions and how the members of this panchayat are elected. And this year, you will be learning the next level, the higher level. Yeah, good morning. Yes, the governor of Karnataka has been appointed very recently, just 2 days back. A new governor has been appointed. Can someone give me his name? Very, very recently, hardly 3 or 4 days back, a new governor has been appointed for Kerala, for Karnataka. So Rohit had asked me a question: who is the governor of Karnataka? In fact, I should be asking him this question. Hmm?
Who is Belgaum MLA?
There are 3 MLAs from Belgaum. For Belgaum North, we have Mr. Anil Benke. Then for Belgaum South, we have Mr. Abhay Patil. And from Belgaum Rural, there is a lady. I'm unable to.
Sir,
Yeah. Lakshmi Abadkar, absolutely right, correct.
the lady is Lakshmi Abba.
Yes, yes. Mrs. Lakshmi Abadkar is the MLA for South. Yeah, that is correct. Thawar Chand Gehlot. He is the governor for Karnataka, very recently appointed. So he is the governor for Karnataka. Good. No doubt, I think everybody would have Googled it and found out, but anyway, you found it out, it's good. So coming back to what we were doing yesterday, we started to learn about how a state government works. We learned that the people in the state government, the people who work in the state government, they are called as MLAs. That is a member of Legislative Assembly. So our state government has two houses, a lower house and a upper house. These are two sections of the house. The lower house is called as the Legislative Assembly, and the upper house is called as the Legislative Council. And it is not all the states that have this two house system. Very few states in India have this two house system. One of them being Karnataka, the other one being Maharashtra. So this system of two houses, it is called as bicameral. Bicameral system, it is called as, where two houses are there. That is the Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council. So whenever a rule or a law is framed in the Legislative Assembly, After it gets voted on, people vote, the members, the MLAs vote on this law, and once it is passed, it goes to the legislative assembly. There again discussion takes place, and then the members of the legislative assembly pass this law. It goes to the governor, and the governor finally approves it by putting his signature on it. So that is how we get laws. Whatever laws we have, which are being used in our day-to-day life, there are traffic laws, there are, house construction laws, there are, everything has a law. Without a law, there would be total chaos. So these laws are made in the legislative assembly, approved by the legislative council, and then finally signed by the governor. Okay, so this was what we learned yesterday, and then we came to the part of a constituency. A constituency is basically a small location which from where people stand for elections, and once they are selected for elections, they are elected, that person becomes the MLA, member of legislative assembly, once he wins the elections. So there are numerous people who stand from each constituency, and once the elections happens, there is obviously only one winner, the person who has got the maximum number of votes. So in this way, our India altogether has numerous number of constituencies. There are small, small locations. A constituency could be as big as a district, could be a single Belgaum district, or a district also which is bigger in size, like our Belgaum, is actually divided into three constituencies for the purpose of governance. So in Belgaum, we have North Belgaum, we have South Belgaum, and we have Rural Belgaum. These are the three constituencies that are there in Belgaum for the state government. Okay, that's it. That's the last. I will not be offering anyone else. Sorry. Yeah. So that was about the constituency. Is anybody having any bit of doubt about what a constituency is? This next map I'll show you, this next image. This is the state of Odisha. Okay, this is the state of Odisha, and you can see the colored parts which are there. No, these are the different districts within Odisha. And each district is further broken down into smaller parts. Each colored part is further having smaller parts, and these are the constituencies in the state of Odisha. So the Legislative Assembly of Odisha actually has 147 constituencies, totally 147 constituencies. And from each constituency, one member of Legislative Assembly or MLA is elected. And once he is elected, he goes to the Vidhan Sabha where he is able to participate and do the work of making laws and governing the area which is allocated to him. So this is how a constituency is made and how it is divided for the purpose of governance. We say this word governance because it is the way in which a particular location or a constituency is run. Hmm. Uh, After our independence, there was, we know that India is a very diverse country, correct? Has everybody learned this? Last year itself you had a lesson called diversity. Do you remember this diversity, what you have learned about last year? Means there are a variety of people in India. There are so many yeah, correct. There are so many varieties of people. We have so many different religions, so many different languages, so many different categories of people. People coming from various locations, tribal people, all these. We have a thick, diverse culture, diverse traditions and religions, and that is the reason why each and every location which we have must be represented. There should be a person from each and every type of location who can, get their problems solved. That is the reason why these constituencies are made, to see that each and every particular location is represented properly and their problems what are there in those places are solved properly. Very, very similar to how the panchayat is made. When the panchayat is made, they see that the entire village is covered under that panchayat from the Gram Sabha. From the Gram Sabha also you have learned that the place is divided into wards, right? And from each ward we have one representative, and that representative is a member of the Gram Sabha. And then further on, they go on to elect their members of the Panchayat. This is what we have learned last year, right, about the Panchayat. So in the same way, when we come to the level of the state, it also the government needs to see that each and every small location is properly represented. Their problems are solved by the MLA who is elected from that particular location. So is this clear to everybody about the part of constituency? Any doubt you can please ask me right now.
No, sir.
How many constituencies are there in Karnataka? Karnataka, if I'm not mistaken, has around 72 or 77 constituencies. Uh, I don't think it is 224. 1 minute, let me just check. I will tell you right now. In village also there are constituencies, yes, of course. I don't know why students are still joining so late. Yes, correct. Uh, Sumangala, you answered right. That is 224 constituencies. Yeah, 224 constituencies for the Vidhan Sabha in Karnataka. And whichever party gets the majority of this out of 224 will form the government. Hmm? Yes. Okay, so everybody has understood this idea of constituency. That is really very good. Now let us learn about this person, the MLA or the member of Legislative Assembly. Every 5 years, election is announced for the state legislative assembly. Once a MLA is elected, he will remain an MLA for a period of 5 years. Means every 5 years, the elections take place in the state. Political parties nominate their people for each constituency. All the members of the legislative assembly are elected on the basis of adult franchise. Means one person, one vote. That is the meaning of adult franchise. One adult person is equal to one vote. And one member is elected from one constituency. A member of legislative assembly, that is the MLA, is a representative elected by the voters of an electoral district, also which means as a constituency, to the legislature of a state in the Indian system of government. So now the qualifications, what qualifications do you require to become an MLA? To become a member of the Legislative Assembly, a person must be a citizen of India, first and foremost. He must be 25 years of age and above, and must have such other qualification as may be prescribed by the President. So, as per the Indian Constitution, there are only two requirements for you to become a MLA. That is, you have to be a citizen of India, firstly, and secondly, you must be 25 years of age and above. These are the only two requirements. There are no other educational qualifications required. It doesn't specify anything about the amount of studies you have done or marks you have secured. It does not ask anything about where you are working or what you do for employment. It does not ask you about your caste, race, religion, color of your skin. Nothing. The only two requirements for a person to be eligible to become a member of legislative assembly is 25 years of age and above, and he must be a citizen of India. These are the only two requirements. Right? Yeah. Yes, the capital of states can be changed depending upon the requirement. That is the decision of the government very recently, about 2 3 years back. Also, the capital of the Telangana state and Andhra Pradesh state, these states were changed. So depending upon the requirement, anytime the capital of the states can be changed. So, how is the government formed in the state? After the election of legislative assembly, the political party whose MLAs have won more than half the number of constituencies in a state is said to be in a majority and has the first right to form the government of the state. What this means is there once the elections are done in a state. Now, like we all just now saw in the chat box that Karnataka has 224 constituencies. So now I want you to tell me what is the half of 224? What is the half of 224? 112, right? Very good. Correct. So, correct. 112. Sir, 112. Okay. Yeah, fine, fine. So 112 is the half of 224 means any party like the BJP or the Congress, any of this party, if they want to form the state government, they need to have more than 112 seats. They need to win the elections in more than 112 constituencies. So if 112 is the half, means 113. 113 they need to win in the constituencies in the MLA elections, and only then that party would be the single largest party and they can form the government, that is the state government. So in Karnataka, what has happened is Karnataka presently, like you all said yesterday, the chief minister is Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa. And Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa is from the BJP party. He belongs to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So what has happened is when elections were there in Karnataka, the Bharatiya Janata Party was able to win more than 112 seats. They won more than 112 seats. They were the single largest party. And what is this 108, Rohit?
Sir, seat it one.
Seat it won, yes. And then there were other representatives from other parties who joined the BJP and they were able to get more than 112 seats. So once this party and the other politicians they came together, they were able to get more than 112 seats. And that makes them eligible to form the government because they are the single largest party. So that is how the government, that is the state government, is actually formed. Now we have a concept which is called as a coalition government. A coalition government is very similar to what has happened in Karnataka. The BJP won 108 seats, and then there were 7 or 8 other MLAs who were not belonging to the BJP, but they joined the BJP so that the total of their votes and that of the BJP together would become more than 112. And with this, they have a coalition government because different parties join together to form a government that is called as a coalition government. So the leader of the majority party is appointed as the chief minister by the governor. The governor comes into the picture here and he appoints that leader. In the situation of Karnataka, it is Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa. He is made they are made the chief minister. Yeah. And then to be eligible to become a chief minister, again the qualification is very simple. You must be a citizen of India and above the age of 25. That is all. And of course, he must have won the election, so he is a member of the legislative assembly. These are the only requirements for a person to become a chief minister. The constituency does not bother, the Constitution of India does not specify whether he must be a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, or whatever. Whether he is black or white in color does not matter. Whether it is male or female again does not matter. Whether he has studied, whether he has any education, that also does not matter. As long as he is a citizen of India and as long as that person is above the age of 25, he can stand for elections, and if he wins, he can also become the chief minister of the state. That is the specification. So has everybody understood how the state government is formed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No doubts. That's very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So now that this chief minister has been selected, he has been elected and selected. Let us see what his functions are, what his powers are, and what his functions are. What a chief minister is supposed to do, and how can he do it? Yes, the chief minister is the leader of the legislative assembly of the state. Since he is the head of the single largest party who has won the elections and they have formed the government, that is why the chief minister is the leader of the legislative assembly of the state. He selects the ministers in the council of ministers. Means, out of all the MLAs who have won the election, he selects a group of ministers and gives them a particular work to do. He allocates work to them. This is very similar to how in your class teacher at the beginning of the year, normally she will select one class monitor, and then she will select one board monitor, then she will select one discipline monitor, one cupboard monitor. All these monitors are selected or no? If you remember last time when you came to school.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
So, in the very
Yes, sir.
similar manner, very similar manner, the chief minister, he is like the class teacher. So, the chief minister, once he becomes a chief minister, he selects his different monitors, or they are also called as the council of ministers. Now, in this council of ministers, he will allocate one particular work to each and every other council of minister. One council of minister, he will tell them, now you have to look after the water supply in the state. To the other council minister, he will tell you have to look after the electricity supply in the state. Other person, other minister, he will tell you have to look after the education in the state. Other minister, he will tell you have to look after the industrial development in the state. Other person, he will tell you have to look after the health, the hospitals in the state. So all these ministers together, they form as the council of ministers. As the head of the council, he allocates the portfolios, means a total work of jobs. What together, what should that person do? Portfolios or department. Now, if the person has been elected as the education minister, who is going to look after the running of schools, colleges, and all, the chief minister will tell him, yes, so now you have become the education minister. As an education minister, you need to look after the schools, you need to look after the government schools, you need to look after the private schools, you need to look after the colleges, you have to see the functioning of universities. All these different things are there, and a state is a very big area. So in the entire state, this only one minister has to see the entire functioning of the education of that particular state. So that is the portfolio which is given to him. This, the portfolio is basically a list of all his duties that the minister will do as a education minister, or a minister of industry, or a health minister, or a minister of public facilities like the water, electricity. All these, there would be a list of work which that minister is supposed to do, which is called as the portfolio. Thus, chief minister is the main link between the governor and the state cabinet. These council of ministers together, they form what is called as a state cabinet. Generally, the governor exercises all his functions on the advice of the chief minister. So, whenever the governor needs any kind of advice on what is to be done in the state, if in case there is some kind of a problem in the state, or in case there is some kind of a situation in the state, or what kind of law needs to be implemented in the state, they will always take advice from the chief minister, the governor. The governor normally will never act on his own. He will always take advice from the chief minister. Okay, there are a few questions over here. Let me see what this is. Bhargavi has got this. Two parties can join together when elections are held or before they should join. The parties can join together even before the elections are held, and or they can join even after the elections are held. Anytime they can join together, and based on the number of seats that they have won in the election, then they can form the government. Okay, someone has asked me the meaning of scrutiny. Yeah? Scrutiny means is to look very closely, to observe very closely. That is the meaning of scrutiny. Yes, that is right. Any other doubts by anyone? Okay, let us continue with this. It is the duty of the chief minister to communicate to the governor all the decisions of the council of ministers. Whenever the council of ministers they meet together, they discuss about the works that are to be done for the state. Any decision that they take, the chief minister will inform the governor saying that this is the decision that the council of ministers have taken. As the chief spokesman of the state government, all important announcements on behalf of the government is made by the chief minister. You would have seen the newspapers or the news. If anytime your father is watching the news, if you have observed, either it could be the local news or the Kannada news or whatever, you would have observed, the chief minister has made such and such an announcement. The chief minister has to said, has announced that the lockdown will be stopped. The chief minister has announced that these are the facilities that are going to be given for the purpose of vaccination. Presently, in this COVID-19 times, most of the news is whatever we hear about is normally about COVID only. So we would have seen many times in the recent past, in the recent days, wherein the chief minister comes on television and makes certain announcements. All these announcements that he is making is not his personal announcement. These announcements are made on behalf of the government. The government works together. This council of ministers, they work together. They do a lot of discussion. They discuss about what the problems the people are facing, how things can work much more better, how problems can be rectified, what facilities can be given to the people, and then finally they come to a decision, and this decision which they have taken is made public to the people of the state by the chief minister. That is the announcement that he makes. I am what? I could not understand. Somebody has a doubt? 1 minute, please hold on. I'm stucking.
Sir, you are stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir. Yes, sir, your voice is breaking. Your issue with your audio. No, sir, it is audible. Don't say it is audible. Sir, it is sir, for us it is not audible.
I'll have to check my class right now. I don't know who is. I think it must be Rita Ma'am's class. Hmm. 1:05 a.m. Great. I'll get that changed.
Sir, it is not audible.
Okay, is everybody able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So let me see what is this
Yes, sir.
scrutiny dates have already been given in the this. I don't know why people are asking me these kinds of doubts. Please ask me doubts only related to the lesson. Okay, Vineet Patil. Ask me doubts related to the question, to the lesson. All these doubts and all already newsletter has been published. Your parents will be knowing scrutiny date. Okay, sir, president can change the laws. No, president cannot change the laws. President does not have the power to change the laws. He has only the power to sign on the law which has been given to him by the prime minister. So the president does not have powers to change the laws. Okay, yeah. Okay, coming back to this lesson, let us see. Okay, let us continue with the we'll continue with the remaining powers and functions of Chief Minister. The policies and workings of the different ministers are monitored and coordinated by him. He summons and presides over the meetings of the Council of Ministers. Whenever there is a meeting by the Council of Ministers, the Chief Minister will look into this and he will make decisions that are to be done in this meeting of the ministers. The governor appoints or dismisses other ministers on his advice. The chief minister allocates and reallocates the portfolios among the ministers. If some minister is not working properly, then the governor can remove that minister on the advice of the chief minister, and the chief minister can also move the portfolios between ministers. If the education minister is not functioning properly, he can maybe give that work of education to another minister and give this education minister the work of health. So this kind of shuffling and movement the chief minister can do. Sole channel of communication between his ministers and the legislature, that is introduction of bills, making of laws, solving the debates, all these things is under the control of the chief minister. He remains responsible to the legislative assembly for the acts performed by the state council of ministers. Means the council of ministers, whatever decisions, whatever they do, either it could be correct, it could be wrong, it is mainly the chief minister who is responsible for all the actions of the council of ministers. And if the chief minister resigns, then the entire council of minister is bound to resign. So if the chief minister for some reason, please hold on 1 minute, if the chief minister for any reason resigns, then the entire council of ministers has to resign. That is the policy as per the constitution. Okay, so in today's class we again revised once again about the constituencies, how constituencies are formed and how the MLAs are elected from these constituencies. And once these constituencies and the MLAs are formed, we learned how the state government is formed. And from the state government or the majority party, we also saw how the chief minister is selected as the leader of the single largest party. And then we also looked into the various powers and functions of the chief minister. This is what we have done in today's class. So does anybody have any kind of doubt about what they have learned in today's class? You can ask me now.
No, sir. Sir, yes. Sir, what is meaning of portfolio?
Meaning of portfolio. Portfolio.
Portfolio.
Portfolio. It is not portfolio. It is portfolio. Portfolio means a group of works, the amount of the different things that come under a particular minister. What and all work does this particular minister have to do? That is the meaning of portfolio. Siddhant, please do not put all these meanings from the internet over there. I am warning you. Do not copy paste meanings from the internet. When a student asks me a meaning, I will give the meaning. Siddhant, is this understood? The portfolio that you have put over there is basically a physical meaning of portfolio.
Sir,
Yes.
what is meaning of vote of no confidence?
The meaning that Prajakta has put over there, the Belgundi, this Prachi, okay, Prachi has put over there is perfectly right. Yeah, the meaning of vote of no confidence.